He's Hacker.
So much so that I had to ask around. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of a nice guy, right?
Hacker is an ass.
I try, as I'm getting into my old age at 39 years old, try not to let things bother me. Just know that I'm ultra soft.
And he doesn't shy away from opinions.
See Baker Mayfield throw 4 passes, but I get to see this homeless guy return a ball for a touchdown.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Oh, yeah. Week 5 of the National Football League. Moments away, Jacksonville, Florida. It doesn't get a whole lot bigger than the Chicago Bears and the Washington Commanders to kick off Week 5 of the NFL. Is Chicago head coach Matt Eberflus coaching for his job tonight? Well, some people will tell you that he is. We'll see. And certainly some sad news in the National Football League. I guess it's fitting that the Chicago Bears are playing tonight as we lost Dick Butkus earlier this afternoon. Maybe the greatest linebacker to ever play in the National Football League. Certainly one of the greatest linebackers to ever play. Passing away this afternoon at the age of 80. So Bears and Commanders to kick off Week 5. We're glad you're with us. A Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. The Jacksonville Jaguars about to have some company in London. Right now, the Buffalo Bills have boarded an airplane, and they are en route to London, England. Yes, they are, Denmark. They are on the plane. I guess it's about, 9.5 hours or so, Buffalo to London. They will land in the morning London time, and then they will be on the ground getting ready to take on Jacksonville Sunday morning, 9:30 kick. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. We're going to do a lot, as you would imagine, on the Jaguars and the Bills tonight. Coming up in about 20 minutes, a little less, my friend Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark as we'll take a look at the Jaguars and the Bills. Then, coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to Buffalo. My friend Vic Carucci, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, Sirius XM NFL Radio. I've had Vic on for years. We'll get the Bills' perspective of this game coming up on Sunday, Jacksonville and Buffalo. So we're loaded. We'll obviously keep you up to date as well on everything going on with Washington and Chicago. That game kicks off in about 15 minutes. But as we do every night to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Want to let you hear from offensive coordinator Press Taylor, defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell. They both met the media earlier today over in London. We will hear their thoughts in one moment. I was thinking about this on the drive-in tonight. The word disappointment, right? We've all heard it. Some of us have lived through many, many, many disappointments in our sports fandom. But the word disappointment came up tonight, and I've used it even in the last week or two. I know you have, when describing the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been disappointing, the start. If I had a quarter for every time I've said it or every time I've heard one of you say it over the last 2 to 3 weeks, well, I'd have a lot of quarters. But when you really get down to it, right, has it been disappointing? You're 4 games in. You win a road game in the division. You go to Indianapolis and win for the first time in 6 years. You completely dominate the Atlanta Falcons in London last week. You win 23-7. It could have been a whole lot worse. Dominated them. You were in the game with the defending world champions with 2 minutes to go. Your defense held Kansas City to 17. Certainly the one disappointing moment of the first month was whatever that was against Houston. That's the bad taste in the mouth, right? I think many of you would have predicted before the year, beat Indianapolis, beat Atlanta, lose to Kansas City. Well, all that happened. That's factual. All of that happened. The one outlier was the Houston game. And because of the Houston game, all of a sudden the Jacksonville Jaguars have been disappointing for the first month of the year. But that can all change very quickly on Sunday morning. Very quickly. If you go out there and you knock off the Buffalo Bills, a team that is thought to be the best team in the American Football Conference right now, and you come back to Jacksonville at 3-2, well, then all's right with the world, and the word disappointing will be eliminated from media and fans' vocabulary here in Jacksonville. I just found it interesting that of the 4 games the Jaguars have played, again, there are 13 more to go. We are very, very early in this process. Very early. But the common thought around the city is that the team hasn't lived up to expectations, right? The team has been disappointing. But when you look at everything in totality, a division road win, first win in Indy in 6 years, a dominating win over Atlanta, a hard-fought loss to the defending world champions, I'm not sure if that's been disappointing. Granted, the Houston game, yes, that was the outlier. But again, that can be changed very quickly on Sunday. So I don't like the word disappointing any longer when it comes to Jacksonville. I will no longer use that word moving forward, at least for the here and now. Talk to me in a couple of weeks. Because on second thought, I don't think the Jaguars have been disappointing. I think they're about where everybody thought they would be. I bet you everybody had them 3-1. They're 2-2. And I'm willing to bet a lot of people had them 3-2 in the first 5, with losses to Kansas City and Buffalo. Worst case scenario, they're 2-3 coming home. You beat Buffalo, you're 3-2. And you're about where everybody thought you would be when the season started. Just some food for thought. Something to keep in mind when you use that word disappointing. Because, again, I've used it. But thinking about it today, I will no longer use it, at least for the next week or two. Because I don't think they've been disappointing. I think they've been good. They were good against Atlanta. They were good against Indianapolis. The defense was very good against Kansas City. The defense has been far from disappointing 4 games in. But they have a tough task ahead of them against Buffalo on Sunday morning. There is absolutely no question about that. The offense is going to need to score because Buffalo has averaged 40 points per game in the last 3 weeks. Jaguar offensive coordinator Press Taylor was asked today about the offensive mindset going into Sunday, knowing they might have to keep pace with a high-scoring Buffalo Bills team.
Where you game plan, really, when you play teams like that, or how every single game, the game changes as it goes. So we always go in with the intent we're trying to score every single drive. And then even like last week, all of a sudden you're in a 17-point lead. It changes the way you want to play the game. So you adjust the game plan within the game based on the situation you're in. So a team like Buffalo or these high-scoring offenses that you play, when it's high-scoring, you know you have to match. You may have to be aggressive in the way you play. You may have to play a ball control style game just to keep them at bay for a little bit, give your defense a little break. So again, it always kind of changes. Obviously, you know you're going into a game with the plan. You're going to need to score maybe more than you play other teams that tend to run the ball however they play offense.
You know, one of the interesting things when it comes to Buffalo, early in the week the thought was Von Miller was not going to play. He's off the injured reserve list. Remember, he tore the ACL, I believe, in late October, early November last year. And the thought was that he was going to come off injured reserve, but he may not play this week. Well, he made the trip. If you put Von Miller on that plane, which apparently is what Buffalo did a couple of hours ago, and you're flying Von Miller across the Atlantic Ocean, Exactly. I think there's a chance, a very good chance, that Von Miller may play. Now, how effective will he be coming off the knee injury? He didn't go through any training camp. He's been limited in practice this week. I don't know what's realistic to expect from Von Miller, but I would be hard-pressed to believe they would put him on that plane if they did not expect him to suit up on Sunday. Having said that, Press Taylor, the Jaguar offensive coordinator, was asked earlier today about Von Miller.
Well, either fortunately or unfortunately, we have about 10 years of tape on him. So we know what type of player he's capable of being. So he's one of those guys that you have to be aware of. He's a game wrecker. And we would imagine, if he's using bits and pieces, it's probably going to be on critical situations where he gets a chance to rush the passer. But if he's playing every single down, that's something you got to be aware of as well. So he's somebody that will pay the respect he's earned.
My guess is if Von Miller plays, that he will be on third down pass rush situations. I'll tell you this, I'm running right at him on a couple of plays. You haven't played in 10 months, you're coming off a torn ACL, you're 30-plus years of age. All right, I'm going to run right at you with a big tight end, a big offensive tackle, and my tailback, and I'm going to see how that knee's doing, Von. That's what I'm doing if you're out there at least a couple of times. No question about it. Final thought from Press Taylor. The Jaguar offense has been less than sensational this year. I think that's obvious. But you saw some glimpses last week against Atlanta. You saw them turn into kind of the team they were last year, right? Christian Kirk very heavily involved. Evan Ingram very heavily involved. That's where the Jaguars want to live. That's why they were so good at the end of last year. And you saw some glimpses of that again. Hopefully that continues. Press Taylor was asked how close the Jaguars are to where they want to be.
We think so. And again, the dynamics of the game changed where it didn't seem to benefit us to be super aggressive and trying to get to the perimeter and risking negative yardage plays. Some of it was let's keep going straight ahead. We'll pop some of these eventually, which we did or we didn't. We probably didn't in that game. But again, some movements came off. We get a 30-yard gain to Evan rolling off there on a run cell where their defense is committed to it. We go into the game knowing that's a really good front. You have a lot of calls that you don't get to just because, again, when you're sitting on a 17-point lead and the dynamics of the game change, you play the game a little differently than you planned to when it was 0-0 and you had 4 quarters ahead of you. So there are things we need to continue to get better at those move forward.
It's interesting he brings that up because we had a caller last week on the 5th quarter after the game against Atlanta, and I forget the caller's name, forgive me, but I want to give them credit because they brought that up, how vanilla the game plan looked. And I went back and watched the game Sunday night and Monday, and the ETN, 20 carries for 55 yards, people just look at the stat line, and they're like, ugh, they didn't run the ball very well. And yeah, they didn't run the ball very well up the middle. But I think Press Taylor's right. I think what he said is right. It was apparent that Atlanta was not moving the ball last week. It was apparent that Desmond Ridder was not going to do a whole lot unless you helped him. So whether you want to call it vanilla, whether you want to call it just getting through the game, whatever verbiage you want to use, it's not like the Jaguars were going deep into the bag of tricks, particularly on the rushing attack. A lot of those balls were right up the middle, halfback dive-looking plays with Travis Etienne. They weren't doing toss sweeps. They weren't doing jet sweeps. They weren't bouncing anything outside. They didn't need to. They had no confidence that Atlanta's offense was going to do anything. Why help them with a catastrophic turnover or something along those lines? So from that standpoint, when you look at it, 20 carries, 55 yards, yeah, that's awful. But I wonder how truly vanilla the game plan was, particularly in the second half. One thing we do know, the Jaguar defense cannot be vanilla on Sunday. They are playing right now the best offense in football in the Buffalo Bills. Luckily, one of the Jaguars' best players on defense, heck, the best player on the Jaguar defense, Josh Allen, is absolutely going nuts right now. Jaguar defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell met the media earlier today, and he was asked about his Josh Allen, the Jaguar Josh Allen, and what he focused most on coming into this year.
Well, really, Josh he's had a bunch of pressures last year, and he went home and, focused on really just finishing. And as a staff and as a defense, we talked about finishing, and he's been able to finish early on in the season, and we look for that to continue. Josh put the work in the offseason. He's a talented player. He came back, and it's paying off for him.
Josh Allen was an absolutely ferocious monster last week. Atlanta could not block him. And on a couple of those plays, that's a Matthews at left tackle for Atlanta. That's a first-round pick from the great family of offensive linemen. And Jake Matthews had no answers, had absolutely no answers for Josh Allen. Remember the last time the Jaguars played the Bills, 2021, Josh Allen with a sack. I think he had a fumble recovery, an interception. He was everywhere. You hope that continues on Sunday. Mike Caldwell, the Jaguar defensive coordinator, now talking about the other Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills quarterback who is absolutely scorching the earth the last 3 weeks. How on earth do you go about containing a guy like Josh Allen, who not only is a great passer, but he's a great runner as well?
Really, you just have to go out there and execute your game plan. We understand we don't want to fly by the quarterback. We want to stay in his face and then just try to get him on the ground with multiple guys. We want to be aggressive and try to attack him, and then also be smart with how we rush him. So there's a plan, and we'll go out there and see if we execute on Sunday.
We saw that your Josh Allen was...
Interestingly enough, for the Jaguars, the secondary was thought to be one of the biggest questions coming into the year. Now, they had a couple of bad moments against Houston, admittedly, a couple of blown coverages, and you can't just erase those from the memory banks. They were there. But the Kansas City game, the Indianapolis game, certainly last week, secondaries played well. And Mike Caldwell finally was asked earlier today about the secondary and about being in year 2 of his system here in Jacksonville, and if that's having the biggest impact.
Yeah, it is. You can go back to just early on in the season, they're able to pass things off. Now, we did have a couple of bad plays against Texas where we reverted back. But, again, it's a work in progress. The guys are continuing to get better, and we'll continue to progress like that way.
It's interesting, too, in that if you black out the names, right, you don't put the names on top of the sheet, and you have player A and player B, and you're comparing player A and player B. And I saw this earlier today. Player A is good. I think he's got like 1 interception, a couple of pass breakups. Player B, 2 interceptions, more pass breakups, more tackles for loss. Andre Cisco is statistically having a better year than Derwin James. If you go by passes defensed, interceptions, tackles for loss, almost across the board, Andre Cisco is statistically better than Derwin James. But because he's Derwin James and he plays in Los Angeles, people will laugh at you when you say that. Maybe I'm too much of a stats guy, but Cisco has been fantastic. Tyson Campbell, to me, is the best corner in football that no one knows about. I had my questions about Darius Williams. He played very well, obviously, last week. I don't think Trey Herndon is great, but having said that, I don't think he's been bad either. I don't think he's been a liability. He played well last week. And truthfully, Rayshawn Jenkins, I think, is just a guy out there right now. He's fine, but he hasn't made real impactful plays yet. I mean, Rayshawn Jenkins last year made 2 of the biggest defensive plays in recent Jaguar history, right? The interception to beat Dallas in overtime, the strip sack of Josh Dobbs that Josh Allen picked up and scored to essentially win the AFC South Championship. So Rayshawn Jenkins, there's playmaking ability there. We've already seen it out of Cisco, Campbell, Williams. I like that secondary, and make no mistake about it, they will be tested in a gigantic way this week. Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in football. Gabe Davis, very good. The Bills' running game, too. I mean, James Cook is a very good player. So the Jaguars are going to have their hands full. But, like what I've seen out of that defense, hopefully it continues. The offense is going to have to score. We've been over that. At the end of the day, I'm going to pick Buffalo to win the game by a field goal. I hope I'm wrong. And the reason I'm going to pick Buffalo to win by a field goal is very simple. That offense right now, I don't know how you stop them. I think Jacksonville will perform better than Miami did, certainly. Miami allowed 50 last week. I don't think Jacksonville is going to allow 50. I think Jacksonville can get to Josh Allen and cause some pressure. If a couple of things go their way, maybe they can get an upset win. But I don't know how you completely stop that offense. And I'm not sure if the Jacksonville offense can score enough to keep up. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're celebrating on the fifth quarter. But if you want honesty, and I'm giving you honesty, I'm never going to pick the Jaguars to go 17-0. Odds are I'm going to pick against them again later on this season, probably multiple times. I think Buffalo wins the game by a field goal. Having said all that, let's talk more Jaguars and Bills. We will go up to Buffalo in the 9 o'clock hour. Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and you hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio, my friend Vic Carucci, who's based in Buffalo. He will join us to give us the Bills side of things. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, my friend Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, will stop by to preview Jags and Bills. Before we get to all of that, on a Thursday night in Jacksonville, Florida, we are givers here on Hacker After Dark. And Dylan Denmark, what do we have for the good folks this evening?
I got not one but two pair of tickets to the Bethune-Cookman Southern Jags game. That'll be October 21st at Everbank Stadium. Give me a call at 641-1010.
You have two pair of tickets. Wow. Absolutely incredible. Southern, Bethune-Cookman, October 21st. If you want to go, be caller 3 and caller 4 right now to 641-1010, and Dylan Denmark will hook you up with a pair of tickets to Southern and Bethune-Cookman on the 21st of October.
If you think you know football,
I know the teams.
pick the games.
I know these players.
It's 1010XL's weekly pick'em contest, brought to you by J. David Tax Law and MyBookie. You could win a barbecue feast from ABBQ. You pick 'em at 1010XL.com.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials, mimosas as well, $2.50, noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Julington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
More than qualified to handle your roof. Call J&M and we'll show you the proof. Check with our customers and they all say only one way to go, the J&M way.
We take pride in doing quality work at a fair price, and you can finance your new roof for as low as $139 per month. J&M Roofing, under the umbrella. Call 904-337-0509.
License number CCC 1331951.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mitchell Yass, and I am no longer the most unknown world-renowned pain elimination specialist thanks to you and my 1010XL radio show, The Pain-Free Living Hour. You can re-listen to all 14 episodes on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mitchell Yass, and have your pain eliminated with treatment in my office or online over Zoom. Book your appointment today, 904-906-YASS, or at livewithoutpains.com.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping clients all over Florida with their construction perm loans for 34 years. Construction perm loans are not easy to find because a lot of banks and credit unions don't understand them, and therefore they don't like to do them. Well, your problem is solved. Trustline Mortgage wants to help you build your dream home. Our construction perm loans are single close, so you save money by not having to close twice, like with other lenders. Some of our construction perm loans allow you to lock in your interest rate up front. And if interest rates go down, we'll give you the better rate. We offer up to 100% VA loans, up to 96.5% for FHA loans, and up to 95% for conventional loans. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. That's 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you build your dream home. Or visit our website at TrustlineMortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing lender. MLS number 331480.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 5th, 1986, Rams running back Eric Dickerson runs for an NFL overtime record 42-yard touchdown as LA beats Tampa 26-20.
Discover the difference that local expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Visit their showroom at the Avenues and browse high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
A horrific car accident left Paula with major injuries and surgery after surgery.
I got to the point where I really couldn't walk. I had to resign from work. I was really just laying in bed. It was terrible. I wouldn't go back under the knife.
She missed working and traveling, but all that was about to change. QC Kinetics used natural biologics to treat Paula. No foreign substances. They provided regenerative treatments that helped subside the pain and restore her quality of life.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I was feeling more movement and doing stuff. And then I started crying. I'm like, I can't believe it.
For Paula, this moment was extremely emotional.
I couldn't do nothing. And now I'm working, and I was on my feet for 7.5 hours, and I feel good. I got my life back because of QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics now for your consultation.
904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey here. Can you guess what I achieved in just over 1 month? How about this? I dropped over 25 pounds thanks to Awaken 180, reaching my ideal weight. Over 25 pounds gone, that's never coming back. I now get to look back a year from now, 5 years from now, and proudly say that September of 2023 was my month. The month I said goodbye to the extra weight and hello to the new Mike. And guess what? I'll still be down that 25 pounds because Awaken 180 is the solution for weight loss. Unlike any program I've done before, Awaken 180 provides free support for life. They put their money where their mouth is. No gimmicks, no catches, just continuous support to ensure I keep the weight off for good. Whether you have 25 pounds to lose like me, 50 pounds, or over 100 pounds, trust me when I say you can do it with Awaken 180 weight loss. Reserve your October consultation today by calling 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Find the middle of the fairway with your drives. Get the golf tips and talk to keep you straight.
That's a great tee shot.
On the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Bills, Sunday, 9:30 over in London, as the Jaguars look to go 2-0 in London and return to Duval County with a 3-2 record. Let's look back on Atlanta and certainly preview Buffalo with my friend Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You, of course, hear him every day on XL Prime Time. Leon, how you doing?
Doing good, buddy. How about yourself?
Leon, we're good, man. All right, you've had a couple of days to think back about the Atlanta game. And, Leon, I don't know about you, man, but to me, 16-point victories in the NFL are always a good thing. Yet I felt myself and still feel a few days after thinking, man, the Jaguars didn't play that well and yet still won the game 23-7.
Well, you got to remember how we come a long way. That when we start critiquing 16-point victories for the Jaguars, a couple of years ago, we had taken that all day. But the expectations of this team are much larger coming into the season than they've ever been. So, I mean, we expect a lot more from this team, especially against the Atlanta Falcon team, which, quite frankly, isn't that good on both sides of the ball. And I don't want to say we struggled. We didn't struggle. I mean, defensively, we did the things that we made the corrections from last week against the Houston Texans. You know, if you think of the Houston Texan game, what was most frustrating to us as fans is that, first and foremost, we couldn't get pressure on the quarterback, who had four new offensive linemen starting for him. We broke down in coverage. We gave up the big plays, and, you know, they made those corrections in this game against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, we got pressure on the quarterback. We got 4 sacks. We had 2 interceptions, should have had 3, and we had a pick 6. I just think offensively, we're still not clicking on all cylinders. The way when we scored 1 offensive touchdown, to be quite frankly, against an Atlanta Falcon team, which I think defensively really isn't all that good.
Leon, we're going to spend a majority of the time on the offense, but since you talked about the defense, they've been very good. They have surpassed expectations in the first month. Other than that Houston game, the other 3 games, you could argue the defense has been a top 10 caliber defense in the National Football League. Why do you think they're playing so much better than we thought coming into the year?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, we thought that coming into the season that the offense was going to have to score so many points because our defense wasn't going to really be that good. We had question marks at the at getting at the quarterback. You know, we had pressing issues as far as linebackers go. I think our secondary, we were a little bit confident in the secondary. Maybe we had a little Trey Herndon was maybe a concern at the nickel position. But hey, listen, they've answered the bell. They've absolutely answered the bell for the last 3 out of the 4 weeks. And that comes down to coaching. The coaching staff has got this defense playing inspired football. And the guys are buying into it. And I'm pretty sure going into the season, the defensive staff is probably telling the defensive guys, hey, listen, they consider us the weak link. All this pressing and all this attention that's been drawn to the offense and all these weapons and stuff, they don't think we can stop anybody. So I'm thinking that might have been a bell call to this defense to, hey, listen, we're going to step our game up. We're going to show the league that, you know, we're one of the best. And for the most part, over the last 3 out of the 4 weeks, they've looked stupendous.
You get Leon Searcy every day on XL Primetime. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, to the offensive side of the ball. I thought it was Anton Harrison's best game at right tackle. You obviously know a thing or two about playing right tackle. The rookie's getting better, right? He's improving every week, it appears.
He is. I mean, you know, he had a baptism, you know, against KC. You know, anytime you go up against a perennial All-Pro like Chris Jones, you got to have your A game, or he's going to expose you. And I'm watching the film on him. I'm watching the game, and then I'm rewatching the game on some of his fundamentals. The kid's got great feet. The only thing he has to work on now is his timing with his hands. He can't holster his hands when it comes up to those type of guys, because Chris Jones, what he did when he holstered his hands and got him late, he used his hands against him. He grabbed his hands and shoved them either way, you know, right or left. He exposed him a little bit. But now I'm watching the game against the Atlanta Falcons. There was a couple of instances when he went up against Calais Campbell and he put those hands on him. You know, he punched him, he sat, he was physical with him. You know, man, Calais may be a little long in the tooth, but, you know, Calais is still 6'8", 300 and something pounds, and I think for the most part, Anton Harrison did a outstanding job against him. So the kid is, you know, he's going to grow. You know, he's going to grow week by week. He's going to get better and better week by week. So, you know, I have to commend him, because I was concerned because that Kansas City game, he was going to either learn from that or he's going to let that linger. And the kid learned from it, and he's getting better week in and week out.
Speaking of the offensive line, Leon, that's one of the big stories this week, as Cam Robinson is now back with the team. In fact, he has been on the practice field. We don't necessarily know his status yet for Sunday. But how does that whole dynamic work? It appears Robinson, when he's ready, will be the left tackle. It appears Little's going to slide in to left guard with Fortner at center, Sheriff at right guard, and certainly Harrison at right tackle. What's your thought on Cam returning to the lineup?
Well, I mean, listen, Cam is one of the top 5 offensive linemen on the team. My only concern with Cam right now is, you know, his conditioning. I'm pretty sure he's been working out and training and all that kind of stuff on his own and at the facility. My concern is that is he going to have a pitch count, or is it going to be a type of game where he's just going to play the whole game? And then what's going to be the dynamics of the offensive lineman if you move him to left tackle? I mean, where does Walker Little go? Does he go inside the left guard? Does he go on the bench? Does he go to right tackle for Anton Harrison? I mean, so I'll be very interested to see how this how the components of the offensive line is going to work. Well, I'll tell you one thing that needs to happen, though. That interior of that offensive line has to get better. Has to get better. I mean, initially it was Barch, Linder, and Sheriff. And then last week, Barch was benched for, Shatley. And quite frankly, it was kind of the same stuff that we saw, 3 weeks ago. So that interior of the offensive line is going to do a better job on not only pass protecting, but on run blocking, because our run blocking is going to always fizzle if we don't have the components interiorly to block the one technique, the three technique, and the mic. And right now, we're not getting it done up front. We're giving up too much penetration. That's the reason why our run game has been stalled.
A couple of more for Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Leon, earlier this week, Doug Peterson said there's not even a consideration. They're sticking with Luke Fortner. There was a thought amongst the media, I was included in this, that maybe when Little, if he moves into left guard, Shatley, I think, has played well enough to stay out there. Would they be better with Shatley at center than Fortner right now? Doug Peterson said they're not even entertaining that. Do you like what you've seen out of Fortner to this point?
I mean, he's been okay. He's been okay. And, like, the reason why Barch was benched, because he's been okay. But, I mean, is okay good enough? I mean, in my personal opinion, I want the best five on the field, no matter who it may be, and then you can mix and match as you move along. And Fortner, I mean, he struggled quite a bit. I think that, Fortner being young, second year in the league, someone to build for the future, that's the reason why you keep him in there. I mean, but if he's listen, nobody is exempt from being benched. I mean, if he's struggling in there and you're trying to win a game and you got a guy like Shatley behind him, you got to play him. You got to play him. This is about winning games. It's not about building in the future. The future is now. And if Shatley, I know when Shatley has been in there, he's been solid. I would love to see the kid Fortner play a lot better. But if he's not getting it done, you got to put somebody in there who can.
Leon, I certainly want to get into the Buffalo game in a moment, but the reason we're spending so much time on the offensive line, look, something's not clicking with this offense. And skill position, they look like they have all the pieces. Trevor obviously is the dude at quarterback. I mean, do you think the offensive struggles are because of the O-line right now?
I really do. I believe the coaching staff realizes what it has, and because the ball with Trevor is coming out so much. I mean, it's coming out so much quicker than almost any other quarterback in the NFL, and that has a lot to do with the fact that they don't feel secure enough, and they would never say this. They'll never say this because, it would hurt the dynamics in the locker room, especially in the offensive line. They would never say this. But Trevor's getting rid of the ball so quickly is because they're in fear of his protection. The protection breakdowns have been so fast and furious. So, I mean, the quarterback is having to get rid of the ball maybe a little quicker than the wide receivers are getting open. That's what I've just been there. And if you watched in the Falcons game, Trevor is utilizing his legs a lot more than he's done in the past. He's doing a lot more rollouts to give himself more time to throw the ball. I mean, all those things factor in when you don't think that your offensive line is well equipped to protect your quarterback in the 2.5, 3 second range, because Trevor's getting rid of the ball in like 2.1, 2.2, which lets me know that he's been told to do that because of the offensive line and their lack of ability to give him adequate protection.
Leon, we know NFL players are creatures of habit. You can obviously speak to that. You spent over a decade in the league. The whole London scenario this week, being over there for the entire week. Buffalo's not arriving until Thursday night / Friday morning. How much is that going to come into effect on Sunday? Jacksonville being over there for an entire week, Buffalo arriving late. Does that matter at all?
I mean, it may matter in the sense of, the Buffalo Bills having the, jet lag, maybe. But that only factors in. I mean, it only factors in for about 24 hours. You get your body acclimated to the new time and all the other kind of stuff. I mean, I hope the Jaguars are not using that as a built-in excuse to where they think they're going to win the game. I mean, they've got more issues to deal with as far as Buffalo goes. Now I don't think it's going to factor in that much at all. I think they're professionals, and they're on the road right now, and I think that they're coming to London to take care of business.
The Bills' offense has been nothing short of dynamic the last 3 weeks. They're averaging 40-plus points. They just put a 50-burger on the Miami Dolphins last week. When an offense is rolling like this, Leon, it's a lot of confidence, obviously. If you're Mike Caldwell and the Jaguar defense, how do you try to get them out of rhythm on Sunday?
Well, if you look at Josh Allen right now, I would say him and probably Christian McCaffrey are probably the front runners for MVP. I mean, this guy's been on the road the last 3 weeks. Ever since that week one debacle where he had 4 turnovers, he had 3 interceptions to one guy. This guy's been on the road. I mean, he's been 9 touchdowns and no interceptions since then. He's completing over 75% of his passes. His QBR is like at 160. I mean, he's been on the road. So, only what you got to do defensively is you got to get him to you got to remind him of what he used to be. What I mean is, he used to be a turnover machine. He used to be a dynamic passer. He used to be a gunslinger. He used to be a guy who could affect you with his arm and his legs. And you just got to remind him, because whoever he is now, he wasn't in week one, and that's what you want. You want to remind him of what he was, and what he was a turnover machine. Even last year, you could talk about Josh Allen and the offense and the rolling, whatever. But at some particular moment, at some particular time, he's going to give you a pick. He's going to give you a fumble. He's going to do something that's going to cost him the game. And I think the defense has got to put him in those kind of positions, those kind of predicaments where he's going to trust himself to the point where he's going to be reckless. You got to get Josh Allen to be reckless Allen, like he's been in the past, because right now, quite frankly, I don't even know who this person is playing right now, the tear that he's been on.
All right, Leon Searcy, as we wrap up, the Jaguar offense, they're going to have to score, right? They didn't necessarily have to score to beat Atlanta. That is not going to be the case on Sunday. They're going to have to score, and they're going up against a Buffalo defense that's not getting all the headlines because of their offense, but that Bills defense is playing pretty well also.
Yeah, it is playing very well. And I heard, which was a scary thing, is that I heard Von Miller practice this week. So I'm not sure if he's going to be in the game or not. But, yeah, this defense is locked and loaded, man. They get Leonard Little. I mean, he's getting after it. Ed Oliver, all these guys have got, 3 sacks here, 3. I mean, they spread the wealth, especially up front. They get after it pretty good. Now, the one kryptonite that they may have, that a lot of teams have exposed them to, is as much as they have been dynamic pass rushers, they've given up some yards on the ground, and that may be a little concerning to them right now, that they've given up some yards on the ground. But you've got to set the tone you've got to be able to match intensity with intensity. You've got to set the tone early and often that we're going to come here and smack you in the mouth. And I'm not sure if the Jaguars, they haven't shown me anything over the last couple of weeks that they are equipped to do anything like that. And that's the scary part. I don't know if we have any guys on our team offensively that can set the tone like that. So, I mean, it's going to be incumbent upon this team to set the tone early and often against the Bills. And I'm not sure if we're equipped to do it right now.
Leon, final question. You and I have talked every week this year. I think the first 4 games we thought the Jaguars may not win, but they certainly have an opportunity to win. I think they have an opportunity to win on Sunday, but I'm not going to pick them. I mean, this Buffalo team is very, very good. Jaguars are the clear underdog, although in the past the Jaguars have seemingly played well in situations like this. What's your thought on Sunday? What happens over in London?
Well, I agree with you totally, Hat. I mean, it seems in the past that this team has always matched up well against the Buffalo Bills. But this is a new Bills team. I would agree upon this. I would assess a Jaguars victory if I thought Josh Allen was going to be more of himself that we're used to seeing. Reckless and turning the ball over, and inability to run the ball and all that kind of stuff. But what scares me is our inability to move the ball offensively, and I don't think we're going to be able to score enough points against this defense. And I think that Josh Allen's going to do enough. I think our defense is going to hang tough with this team. But I think that our inability to score points and move the ball offensively is going to wear our defense down to the point where I think Buffalo is going to ultimately win the game. And I think I think Buffalo wins the game 26-13.
Yeah, I could see something similar to that. I think it's a competitive game, but I also am probably going Buffalo when it's all said and done. You get Leon Searcy every day on XL Primetime. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, appreciate it, man. We'll do it again next week.
You got it, bro.
1010XL brings the swamp to the First Coast.
Room to run. 40, 45, midfield might be gone.
Vandy gets swamped.
Touchdown, Gators!
Florida, Vanderbilt. Kickoff at 4. Pre-game coverage starts at 1 on Jacksonville's home of Florida Gators football. 1010XL AM.
There's no better time to be a Jags fan, especially when you're a My Gate Rewards member. Gate is giving you the chance to meet the man, Trevor Lawrence. You and 3 of your friends could meet Trevor Lawrence in person at the stadium. Entering is easy. With the My Gate Rewards Gatorade Club, for every 5 Gatorade products you purchase, you'll be entered for a chance to win. See store for details. Gate, your hometown convenience store.
Perfect Rag Billiards in Murray Hill is your spot to be for all your football needs. Full liquor bar, 8 pool tables, darts, and shuffleboard. Weekend specials include happy hour all day Friday to $3 seltzer Saturdays, along with wing and pitcher specials on Sunday. Watching the Jag game, $19 domestic buckets on game day. There isn't a better place to play pool, have a beer, and just kick back. Perfect Rack Billiards on Edgewood and Murray Hill. The best place in Jacks to watch sports.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll-and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years, you can count on Catlin.
Are spooky plumbing problems haunting your home this Halloween? Don't be scared. Call Duck Duck Rooter, your ghost-busting plumbing heroes.
Hi there, I'm Brian, your friendly plumber. Is your toilet making ghostly groans, or is your sink dripping like a vampire's fangs?
Don't let plumbing problems give you the heebie-jeebies. Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 and chase those spooky issues away.
Duck Duck Rooter, because even plumbing nightmares deserve a happy ending. Quacktastic service guaranteed.
He thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Of course.
Find out if he does.
Is there anything else we need to know?
Catch CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco every Friday afternoon on The Franchi Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Are you ready for the ultimate happy hour experience? Look no further than Bellwether, downtown's undisputed champion of good times. It's Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 7 p, with the exception on Friday when happy hour starts at 11 a.m. Rally the team and head over to Bellwether. The vibe is full and the food is unbeatable. Free parking after 6 p on weekdays and all weekend. Bellwether Restaurant, where great food and the best happy hour in town come together for an epic win.
Mark Watson for Hardball Creative, letting you know that Hardball has cooler promotions, but some people call them ice chests. Either way, check out the items you can put your company logo on at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, and equal opportunity employer.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it work. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Can you say vacuum-sealed marinated meats? Head to Southern Steer Butcher. Hey, if you're out at the Furyk and Friends this weekend, make sure you stop by when you're done.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
You know, Real Estate Research right now says housing prices are still rising slowly and inventory is still below historical averages. That means if you think your home right now is unsellable or there's a host of problems, then you haven't met Chad and Sandy, who will make sure those problems become promises. Chad and Sandy are the only real estate experts we trust and recommend with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts. Derek and Ashley out in St. John's Harbor said we were building a new home, but we had a big problem. 2 months on the market, and we had no showings and no offers with another agent. We were super stressed. Then we heard Chad and Sandy guarantee sale on the radio and hired them. They created an amazing plan to sell quickly and maximize price. The home sold in 10 days for more money than the previous realtor had listed. That's the promise and the proof of ChadandSandy.com. Go there today, ChadandSandy.com, or call them in office, 904-414-6200.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Week 5, National Football League underway, Chicago and Washington. And if you have DJ Moore on your fantasy lineup tonight, congratulations. I am among you, so I am very happy. DJ Moore in the first quarter, 4 grabs, 126 yards, and a touchdown for Chicago as they are just finishing up the first quarter. Commanders with a 10-0 lead on the Chicago Bears, the Bears with a 10-0 lead on the Commanders, rather. Bears 10-0 on Washington, and Chicago is driving it again in Washington territory. But my gracious, DJ Moore had a huge game last week, 126 yards through the air in the first quarter tonight. Justin Fields, 8 of 12 for a $145 and a touchdown as the Bears lead 10-0. The thought was, at least if you listen to some of the national shows today, could Matt Eberflus, the Bears head coach, be in trouble tomorrow if things don't go well tonight? He's 3-18 in 21 games, 3-18, including, I think, 14 losses in a row. Well, the Bears off to a very good start. Now, we saw this on Sunday against Denver, right? Chicago was up 28-7 and then completely blew the fourth quarter, and Denver came back and won the game. So they need to finish a lot better than they did last week, but certainly a good start for the Chicago Bears. More on the National Football League coming up in just a bit. Vic Carucci of SiriusXM NFL Radio. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. He comes up in about 15 minutes or so. In the world of college football, to me, it's very simple this weekend. And sometimes the most simple weekends lead to the biggest upsets. And I'm talking about locally. The 4 main teams we cover, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami. I brought this up a little bit last night. All 4 should have no problem on Saturday. Georgia hosting Kentucky under the lights, Sanford Stadium. That's probably the toughest of the 4. Kentucky's a good football team. Miami hosting Georgia Tech. Florida State hosting Virginia Tech. And Florida, of course, with homecoming against Vanderbilt. If any of those teams, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, or Miami, if any of those teams were to lose on Saturday, that's a big upset and a big story. And in Florida's case, if they lose back-to-back years to Vanderbilt, well, we'll be having some interesting conversations here on Hacker After Dark on Monday night about Billy Napier and what's going on down there with that staff. Around the rest of college football, it's a good weekend, right? LSU, Missouri. How good is Missouri? Well, they play LSU. Where will LSU be mentally after the loss to Ole Miss? SEC West, a gigantic game in College Station between Alabama and Texas A&M. The Texas State Fair with Texas and Oklahoma, that will be an SEC contest beginning next year, the final year where it's a Big 12 contest on Saturday. Both teams are undefeated. What else you got? I think you got Notre Dame, Louisville is a nice game. Louisville, a very quiet, undefeated team in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So a sneaky good Saturday. Maybe not ranked team versus ranked team, but some sneaky good games. And usually on a Saturday like this, there's an upset or two. And hopefully for the teams we cover, that's not the case. Because, again, if Georgia Tech were to beat Miami, if Kentucky were certainly to beat Georgia, if Va-Tech were for whatever reason able to beat Florida State, or if, heaven forbid, Vanderbilt were able to beat Florida, that would be a pretty seismic upset in the world of college football. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Jacksonville, we're with you until 10 o'clock. Speaking of college football, we'll go to Gainesville at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. My friend Graham Hall, Swamp 247, part of the 247sports.com network, and we'll preview Florida, Vanderbilt. We'll certainly talk about Billy Napier and all that with my friend Graham Hall at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up next, back into the world of the National Football League. More on the Jaguars and the Bills as Buffalo now joins the party as they are heading to London. Did DJ Moore just score again?
Yes, he did.
DJ Moore is absolutely going nuts. His second touchdown of the night, and as a guy that has DJ Moore on his fantasy team tonight, it is a great evening here in Duval County.
I think the Bears are going to the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't know about that, but they're playing awfully well. And DJ Moore now 5 grabs for $137 and 2 touchdowns, and we have 13 minutes to go in the second quarter. More on the NFL. Back into the Jags and the Bills next. It's Hacker After Dark.
It's where they shifted gears and let it ride. Let's go, let's go! It's the Tire Outlet drive of the game.
Go out of the shotgun on third down. Has time, crossing pattern complete. Yeah!
On 1010XL.
Yeah!
Attention car buyers, are you in the market for a new vehicle? Are you noticing the markups on vehicles on dealers' lots? Well, come to Key Buick GMC, where we never have markups on our vehicles. Ask for Derek or Brian. In addition, Key Buick GMC is the only Buick GMC dealer with a lifetime powertrain warranty on all new Buicks and GMCs. Holidays are approaching, and we are your local service headquarters. That's Key Buick GMC. We are professional grade across the street from Tinseltown, Southside and Gate.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. The next time you're feeling lucky, head over to Best Bet in St. Augustine, ask for a pour of Brackish in your favorite cocktail, and go play.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the Southeast to offer multi-unit hair grafting and the 45-minute PRP treatments. Grow your hair back. Call now for a free in-person evaluation. 904-777-IHRS, 904-777-4477, or visit hairforme.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach, WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I want to make our backyard into a paradise, but where do I start?
A few people I know chose CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They do it all: fire pits, pergolas, and custom outdoor kitchens.
That sounds convenient, but I don't want a half dozen subcontractors milling around.
CSS is a licensed contractor, so they do 100% of the work themselves, from start to finish.
That's perfect. Let's get an estimate.
Well, I already toured their showroom last week.
Ha! Well, what are we waiting for? Let's do it.
CSSOutdoor.com.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. It's that time of year where we're starting to bring things down from the attic. Along with that comes the critters that have been hiding up there year-round. Go to RoyalPestServices.com or give us a call at 886-2847. That's 886-BUGS.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 2nd.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics. The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. This is amazing stuff. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. You've got to go see QC Kinetics. You can call to set up a free consultation at Mandarin or Ponte Vedra locations at 904-274-5522. Again, 274-5522. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, shoulders, back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Look, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Again, give them a call. 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Bears up 17-0 on the Commanders. Second quarter, Justin Fields, 2 touchdown passes, both to DJ Moore. Commanders have the ball at midfield against Chicago. 17-0 over Washington. 10 minutes to go in the first half. You look around the National Football League outside of Jacksonville and Buffalo. You look inside the AFC South. Houston goes to Atlanta, and the C.J. Stroud show, right? A lot of people starting to talk about him. He's getting a lot of more notoriety nationally. I saw him on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. That's what'll happen when you absolutely destroy Jacksonville and Pittsburgh in back-to-back weeks. And now the 2-2 Texans head to Atlanta to take on the 2-2 Falcons, probably still licking their wounds a little bit from the beating the Jaguars gave them. Big one in the AFC South with Tennessee and Indianapolis. Apparently all seems to be right now with Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts. We'll see what happens with that moving forward. There's some speculation that he might even play on Sunday as the 2-2 Titans head to Indy to take on the 2-2 Indianapolis Colts. Barring a tie, one of them will obviously win the game and go to 3-2. You start thinking about things like that a little bit. If Jacksonville were to lose to Buffalo, either Indy or Tennessee will be 3-2 after this week. The Giants go to Miami. My gracious, what a beating that might be. Miami is going to be looking for some revenge after what Buffalo did to them. The Giants are a dumpster fire. How about Evan Neal, the big offensive tackle out of Alabama? Remember all the talk about the Jaguars maybe drafting Evan Neal? You see what he did yesterday? It just completely blew up on all the media circles. Basically saying that the fans up in New York that were booing were sheep. And what do they do for a living? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers? My goodness. Now, he apologized, but you know it's bad when even current and former players don't defend you. There is a player's code where you almost defend your fellow player almost regardless of the situation, but not when you go after fans. And Evan Neal had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. His own teammates didn't agree with him, were calling him out for his comments, so he had to apologize. How can you tell your fan base, who pays good money to buy those tickets and concessions and parking and all that, that they're sheep for booing you? And what do they do for a living? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers? Oh, it will be very hard. I don't care about the apology. It'll be very hard for Evan Neal to recover from those comments, particularly with a fan base like you have in New York. That is going to be a hard deal for Evan Neal to navigate as long now as he is still a New York football giant. Jaguars and the Bills coming up on Sunday. Let's go up to Buffalo. Let's get the Bills' perspective. My friend Vic Carucci. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio, and he joins us on Hacker After Dark next. Let's talk Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Buffalo as they get ready to play the Jaguars on Sunday. Vic Carucci next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
Your play-by-play home of Bulls Bulldogs football is 1010XL.
I'm Coach Toblin, and the Bulls Bulldogs travel to Columbia Friday night. All the action is live on 1010 AM.
Bring smiles to all when shopping online with Dell Technologies Gift Guide. Whether it's for the artist, the entrepreneur, the student, or the streamer, you'll find the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Dell.com/gift guide makes gifting easy with a carefully curated selection of our best tech. Shop now to explore our innovative PCs like the XPS 13 laptop, powered by the latest Intel Core processors, plus this season's top accessories. Visit Dell.com/gift guide today to get a jump on your holiday gift list. That's Dell.com/gift guide.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Are you afraid to buy your next car? Well, have no fear because Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet offer Beaver's not-so-scary pricing. There's no monsters popping up in your rearview mirror with Beaver's peace of mind warranties. Check out thousands of vehicles for sale online and get answers to all your questions with no tricks and all the treats. I promise our team will take away all those fears. Just come see Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville for Beaver's not-so-scary pricing.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials, mimosas as well, $2.50 noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Julington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 5th, 1986, Rams running back Eric Dickerson runs for an NFL overtime record 42-yard touchdown as LA beats Tampa 26-20.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey, John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Do you feel a ghastly presence in your septic tank this Halloween? A septic emergency is spookier than a haunted house. But fear not. Duck Duck Rooter is here to rescue you from the depths of septic despair.
I'm Vlad, the Valiant Septic Tech, ready to cast out the demons from your septic system. If your toilet's acting possessed or your pipes are stirring up a witch's brew, we got the magic wand to fix it all.
Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 to schedule your septic tank pumping today.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Your musculoskeletal system carries the body, meaning that it maintains the structure against gravity. If you want your joints to stay healthy and seek the simplest solution, the best answer is to lose weight. Don't forget that the more weight you put onto your joints, the more pressure and stress there is on your hips and knees. This translates to more pain if you're already having issues. Losing weight is the quickest way to alleviate joint pain and boost your joint health. Go Jags.
At Beaches Jewelry and Pawn, layaway is always an option. Times are tough for some, so anything you need or want from surfboards to tools to high-end jewelry, layaway is always an option at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Online at beachesjewelryandpawn.com.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
To learn more about the Jericho School Golf Tournament and silent auction at Blue Sky Golf Club October 21st, visit thejerichoschool.org.
Make a difference on the golf course. Playing one of the best tournaments and help make Jacksonville a safer place to live and raise our families. The First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament is October 23rd at Amelia River Club. Call 398-5883.
The Knights of Columbus 5535 Annual Golf Tournament is November 6th at Glen Kernan Country Club. To find out how to play or sponsor, call 249-5535.
To walk in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Light the Night Walk on November 16th at UNF. Register at lightthenight.org.
If you're looking for an adventurous career, the U.S. Air Force offers valuable training, higher education, medical care, and experience. To find out more about a career in the Air Force, call 545-2460.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Ticket here, Zero Res turns 19 this month. To celebrate, just say happy birthday, Zero Res, and they'll give you $50 off your cleaning. Some minimums may apply, so give them a call. Happy birthday, Zero Res. Spelled forwards or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Bills, Sunday, 9:30 in the morning. Of course, you'll hear it right here on your home of the Jacksonville Jaguars, 1010XL. Buffalo's awfully good, a 3-game winning streak, and they just got over dismantling the Miami Dolphins last Sunday. With that, let's head up to Buffalo. My friend Vic Carucci has covered the NFL for years. You hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio. You also see him WGRZ TV in Buffalo. Vic, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Ryan. Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Hey, Vic, certainly the same goes to you as well. All right, Buffalo, opening night. Everybody talked about the Aaron Rodgers injury. What was lost in that was the Jets actually won the game with 3 Josh Allen interceptions, and people were thinking, okay, what's wrong with Buffalo? Well, apparently nothing's wrong, Vic, because the last 3 weeks, Buffalo is averaging over 40 points a game. What is working so well for the Bills right now?
Yeah, start with what Josh Allen hasn't been doing since that first game, and that is turning the ball over. It wasn't just 3 interceptions. It was also a fumble by him. He had easily the worst game of his entire, I would call it the mature NFL career, kind of not totally counting his rookie year in 2018, which is, hard to evaluate. But certainly since that point, he has never played as bad a game as I saw against the Jets. And he's had some clunkers, but since then, this offense has, and again, I say this offense, but I really say that Josh has gone to being much more patient, much more poised, not trying to do everything himself, not forcing the ball as he did on 2 of those interceptions for sure against the Jets, seeing the field better. running when it's necessary, but not panic running with a purpose in mind, a la Patrick Mahomes, where you find those targeted areas and see when the coverage leaves you enough room to go. And he should call on those legs. They're very good for him. Also, I think the offensive line, you asked me what's going right, is playing the best football it has in a while. Two big changes there with free agent Connor McGovern coming over from Dallas and second-round draft pick Osiris Torrance, of course, a Florida guy that people I'm sure know down there. He's been spectacular. I'd say as good a rookie O-lineman as there is in the short time that he's played for the Bills. And then, the usual suspects, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. They added the tight end, Dalton Kincaid, in the draft. He's a nice moving the sticks kind of guy on third down and in the slot role. Dawson Knox playing some of his better football as well offensively. And then I'm underplaying this because the story of that Miami game, even though Josh is going to have the headlines and dominated everything with his 5 touchdown performance, 4 through air and 1 with his legs, the defense has been just spectacular. Lights out. They're leading the league in turnovers. They're leading the league in sacks. Those are the 2 categories that usually tell you a team's contending or championship level form.
Vic, was the Jets game opening night a bad day at the office? Was it a wake-up call? How would you describe it? Because obviously, as we've talked about, since opening night, it's been a very different football team.
Yeah, right. I'd say most of it I'm going to put in the aberration category. I don't think that's, what you normally see from Josh as a player, the Bills as a team. Nonetheless, you got to be accountable. And if we're going to say just a bad day at the office and move on, you're really not. I think that's a lazy analysis. A lot of things that did go wrong in that game, I think they've made a legitimate effort to correct, especially with him. So give them credit for kind of going back and correcting that. But I also want to say that the Jets defense shows up and is really good and is the most, even with Aaron Rodgers, I think they would have been the most legitimate part of that team. We still don't know what they would have looked like with Rodgers. But when you saw them play the Kansas City Chiefs and give them everything they were worth, their defense did a heck of a job against one of the top offenses in the league. So that's a legitimate thing, and that was a problem for Buffalo. It was a problem for Buffalo last year as well. Every game's different. Every matchup is different, and I think Buffalo has not faced anything in the way of defensive dominance since that game against the Jets when they played the Raiders, the Commanders, and then the Dolphins. And it'll be interesting to see how they match up with the Jaguars defense. But honestly, so far as you look at their schedule, there aren't going to be too many tests, I don't think, for these, including the Jaguars game for the next 7. I mean, until they get an opponent that you're going to say, okay, that's a tough matchup, and that would be Philadelphia. And we're 8 weeks down the line before they get to that.
Couple of more for Vic Carucci, Sirius XM NFL Radio. You also see WGRZ television there in Buffalo. When it comes to the London aspect, as we get into this game on Sunday, the Jaguars and the Bills, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jacksonville obviously is already there, Vic. Buffalo, I assume, is leaving like Jacksonville did Thursday night, arriving in London on Friday. What's the thought about the Jaguars already being there, and how is that affecting the Bills' preparation for this game?
It's going to be interesting, Ryan, to see if there is any element to that with the travel, time change, all of those things that can play a role in how a team performs. They are going to, their plan was to do the Thursday night departure, Friday morning arrival, the red-eye departure thing, so as to minimize the amount of time where they have to do real deep or meaningful practice work and get that done before they get on the plane. And then the other part of it is, trying to ease up the adjustments. I think one of the smart things that Sean McDermott does as a coach is monitor. Remember, he's got an established roster. This is a club where you can hold back on some of the veteran playing time you have, or practice time, I should say, knowing that guys will be ready. And I don't think, they have to push too many people too hard from a preparation standpoint, because they know they'll show up. That doesn't mean you don't work on things and details and meetings and on the field, but I'm just talking about physical exertion. The other thing that will be interesting, Sean McDermott gets high marks he took on the additional role as defensive coordinator for the first time since he became a head coach. Of course, he was the DC in Philadelphia and then in Carolina, so he's got a strong background with that. But wearing the two hats now, and it's worked out exceptionally well with, as I was mentioning, about the strong defensive performance Buffalo has had. Players are stepping up, but McDermott is putting them in the right positions. When it comes to an adventure, if that's the word, like this, going to London to play a game, he's never been through something like this before. So he is going to, I think, it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it. And how he approaches, we won't know until after the fact, how it all looks, how ready this team is, but it's a new experience for him as a coach. And, we'll see sometimes coaches can overthink things, and sometimes the best approach is to take it more in a flow versus a force the issue.
Vic, one of the ways it's being looked at down here is, look, the Bills are clearly the favorite in this ball game. They deserve to be. But the Jaguars might have gotten a little bit of a break avoiding having to go to Orchard Park. And I'm just curious, from the Bills fan base, Bills media perspective, was there any pushback on the NFL sending what appears to be on paper a relatively big game between two AFC contenders to London, the fact that it was the Jaguar game that Buffalo lost from the home perspective?
I can't say that I've heard a lot of that. No, fans are always unhappy when they lose a home game, for sure. I mean, that'll never compute well with a fan base that loves this team and is as passionate as this one is. For that Miami game, Sean McDermott said it, that he has never heard a louder stadium in his entire NFL career. That's saying a lot. He's been in this league a long time, and he's coached in Philadelphia. He's coached in Carolina. He's been on the road with 3 different NFL clubs to know what other stadiums sound like at their loudest. He compared it to a jet engine sound, a deafening sound, and struggled to do his communication, headset to helmet communication with his middle linebacker, Terrell Bernard, because of how loud the home crowd was in Orchard Park, New York. So do the Jags catch a break from that? For sure. But I will say Buffalo's fan base travels well, and Tottenham Hotspur is going to be packed with a lot of Bills fans who've circled the state and saw it as, a fun opportunity to, support their team, but also see it, if it's their first time, see another country, just the idea of the adventure of going to England. And I get that. And I remember 2015, the last time the Bills were there and I was there with them, Rex Ryan was the coach. You had some of that spillover of fans who were enjoying the entire week of being in England, versus just showing up like the team is for, the in and out, come in Friday morning and get out of there as soon as the game is over. The other interesting point, though, to make, when you get a game in London, the Bills had the opportunity, right, because it's a league rule, the option, they could have taken a bye the following week, or opted out of it and have the bye at a later date. They opted out of it. The bye isn't going to come until very late. In fact, they will be playing, counting the Jacksonville game, 8 games consecutively, and then get their bye after they play Philadelphia, the 8th of those games. and then face Kansas City. So I think the way it breaks for them, having a bye sandwiching two of the better teams, presumably in the league, we'll see what they look like then, is a benefit. So from a competitive standpoint, the fans who look at that might say, you know what, maybe this will end up being a really good thing.
Vic Carucci, SiriusXM NFL Radio. Vic, final question. How do you see the ball game? The Jaguars here, they think they're underachieving. The fan base does after a 2-2 start. Buffalo has destroyed their last three opponents. Do you see it being a competitive ball game on Sunday over in London?
I have to believe the Bills are a significantly better team. There could be factors like, again, travel, all of those things that might pull it a little closer than it should be. But I don't see, when I put these teams side by side, a reason to think that it's a real closely competitive game. I think Jacksonville, I agree with those who say they're underachieving. I expected a lot more from Trevor Lawrence. He was one of my preseason picks to have, this breakout year, and it looked like it was going to start that way, but it's not. And I don't know if there's enough around, overall to see this elevate to them being a real contender in their division. And seeing what happened against some of their AFC South opposition, and watching what Houston is doing with C.J. Stroud and so forth, that seems to be getting a lot more attention. And the bloom is a bit off this rose of, hey, look out for the Jags. Atlanta, that was legit. They beat them there, and I, it doesn't say. I want to give the Jags credit, but does it say as much about Atlanta just looking like they, to me, weren't ready to play a football game? And that can happen. That can happen, especially on those trips. But and Arthur Smith is a really good coach, but it didn't look like his team showed up in any way. And I know they also have quarterback issues there too. But it's about Trevor Lawrence stepping up to that next, whatever that next rung or two on that developing quarterback ladder, where he should be. And I'm not. I need to see it consistently before I'm a real believer. Again, as I assumed I would be going into the season, that this is going to be a contending club.
You see Vic Carucci on WGRZ TV there in Buffalo. You hear him on SiriusXM NFL Radio. He's also a longtime voter for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Vic, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for the time. Let's hope we have a great ball game on Sunday, and you and I will talk soon, my friend.
Sounds good, Ryan. Be well.
Unwrap the football weekend.
That's going to take a while. Then you better get started.
Sink your teeth into Dandy Foods Post-Game Monday.
So, where do we go from here?
Get entertaining insight on Sunday's games all day Monday.
Let me guess.
On 1010XL.
Exactly. Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Make sure your home is protected this hurricane season by scheduling a complimentary roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. Right now, get 15% off your roof replacement and repairs, plus 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires October 31st and restrictions apply. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 1330747, CVC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping clients all over Florida with their construction perm loans for 34 years. Construction perm loans are not easy to find because a lot of banks and credit unions don't understand them, and therefore they don't like to do them. Well, your problem is solved. Trustline Mortgage wants to help you build your dream home. Our construction perm loans are single close, so you save money by not having to close twice, like with other lenders. Some of our construction perm loans allow you to lock in your interest rate up front. And if interest rates go down, we'll give you the better rate. We offer up to 100% VA loans, up to 96.5% for FHA loans, and up to 95% for conventional loans. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. That's 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you build your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing lender. MLS number 331480.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Weekends were made for sports, and I'll tell you my take on this weekend's best options. Pick it here. Watch for Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan is brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics. The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. This is amazing stuff. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. You've got to go see QC Kinetics. You can call to set up a free consultation at Mandarin or Ponte Vedra locations at 904-274-5522. Again, 274-5522. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, shoulders, back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Look, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Again, give them a call. 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
This is your Mad Dads Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. Mad Dads is asking for good, committed men who want to be part of an organization that has been around for 17 years. We are a group that is part of the solution, not the problem. We are a group that don't stand around murmuring and complaining, but get into action and hit the streets to get the community to break the code of silence to remove the murderers off our streets. We do not require a lot of time, just willing and able bodies to get involved. We've had far too many murders this year already not to get involved. If you want to be part of this great organization, call 904-718-1649. We're looking for men, not men acting like boys. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dads Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadsJacksonville.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and Vanderbilt, 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as the Gators try to get back in the win column and get over, well, whatever that was in Lexington last Saturday. Let's go to Gainesville. Let's talk about this 3-2 Florida Gator football team with my friend Graham Hall. 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247 is where you find his terrific work, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Graham, how you doing?
Doing well. I think a lot better than maybe some of the Florida fan base are doing right now because, yeah, you nailed it. That was a difficult one, and it was against a program that so many are accustomed to beating until, the last 6 years, 4 or 6 now for the Wildcats. And I think it really speaks to just how much growth this team still needs to do. I mean, you saw how good they can be against Tennessee at home, and then a young team goes on the road. You can see how bad they were, and that was, I think, evident on Saturday.
Graham, the natives are restless over here in Jacksonville. I imagine it's the same story over there in Gainesville. And the word I keep getting from Gator fans is it's one thing to lose, it's another thing to look ill-prepared. And in both losses this year, there were moments in both Utah and Kentucky, Graham, where it's hard to argue that. At points, they looked like they were ill-prepared to play.
I think that's fair. I think that this is a Kentucky team that a week prior had played a noon contest, and this isn't to make excuses really for the team. It's just the reality of the situation. You play 4 straight night games, then you go on the road, first SEC road trip, and you got your first noon kickoff with a lot of young players, a lot of freshmen, and I did think they noticeably lacked an edge to them to start that game, and you get hit in the mouth right away, and this is not really a team built right now to come back from a deficit, and that's just, I think, what underscored a lot of the problems is they lack explosion on offense, and if they don't come out of the gate hot, establishing the run and the defense, I think they certainly got exposed a little bit in that contest. I think that absolutely, if you don't have that edge, you're going to look very unprepared. And, I still think this is, I think, the big part of the question. People are looking at the loss and wondering already if Billy Napier is the right guy in Gainesville. And, rebuilds are not a 2-year thing in my mind. I think that you are going to need a little bit more time. You're going against a head coach this past week, the second longest tenured coach in the SEC, a guy who's, paid more than Billy Napier in Mark Stoops, one of the top 10 highest paid coaches in college football, has used the transfer portal well. Florida saw what Ray Davis could do last season when he was at Vanderbilt. I think that absolutely a lot of this makes sense. Now, after this season, there are going to be some tough conversations and maybe some reevaluations of the infrastructure and how Florida has done things. But to suggest that in the middle of the season, which some have, and we always know that the loudest maybe are sometimes the most negative right now in this social media era, I just suggest that you should make crazy changes or even some minor changes from a coaching staff perspective in the middle of the season. I don't get why everyone assumes that could only be a positive for this program. It could get worse in my mind. And the last thing you want to show is that you lack faith in the plan you put together and the people you hired. That's not really what I think Florida wants to do right now. They're going to have to kind of just, paddle forward and endure what is coming. And it may not be a very impressive finish, but to suggest that the head coach in the middle of year 2 should be out when he just kind of got a slice of humble pie against a very, very good head coach and a good program that's had Florida's number since even before he got here, I don't really make that leap right now. And I understand the frustration and people who want that, but I still feel it's too soon after losing your first SEC road game after week 5 to be calling for the head coach's head.
Graham Hall, 247sports.com, part of Swamp 247, does a great job covering the Florida Gators. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Graham, I agree, and I almost don't understand it. To me, Florida fans can't seem to get out of their own way. They've had 6 head coaches in 20 years. Anytime the slightest bit of negativity happens, somebody will start up a firethiscoach.com website. And people wonder, why Florida's in the situation that they're in. Look, those 6 guys like Jim McElwain probably didn't deserve more time, but Dan Mullen, Will Muschamp had successful years. Gator fans turned on them awfully quick. And to me, my blueprint is Florida State, right? That's what I'm going all in on. 2 years ago, Florida State folks, whether they'll admit it now or not, they wanted Mike Norvell on a silver platter. They wanted him out of there. And Florida State stuck with him, probably because they couldn't afford to fire him, quite honestly. But whatever the reason is, they stuck with him. And now they're in the top 5 in America and have a pretty good path to the college football playoff. You got to give these guys time. And I think Norvell in Tallahassee is living proof of that. And that, to me, Graham, is the blueprint that Florida should follow.
In those first 18 games for Mike Norvell, they had a lot of disappointing losses, narrow losses I'm sure games that felt very frustrating to the fan base, but what you just said is absolutely true. In the middle of year 2, even into year 3 of the Mike Norvell era, it was too soon to, try and wipe the slate clean once again and go with someone else. You now see in year 4 that coming to fruition, how much that's paying off for that guy. And, you mentioned other programs that are the blueprint. Look at Josh Heupel up at Tennessee. I mean, Kirby Smart had Florida competing for, Georgia competing for a national championship in year 2. And Urban Meyer, everyone just saw Swamp Kings. They saw what Urban Meyer did in year 2. So I think that maybe the expectations are a little bit higher than they should be when it comes to a rebuild. You can technically remake your roster overnight through the transfer portal, and I think that's led to some of the elevation of pressure, so to speak. But to expect that every rebuild is going to be the same, and Billy Napier was the first one to say that every rebuild is not the same. And I do think that this is going to, in retrospect, be one of those things that is a hurdle for Florida to overcome. But this weekend was not a grand indictment of everyone in charge right now. Just like Mike Norvell had a lot of promising signs up there in Tallahassee, how he was using the transfer portal, the rebuild of the offensive line, some of the coaches that he hired. The results of the game obviously were frustrating to him, but there was a lot of promise there, and now you're seeing all of that pay off. For Florida, they have a top 5 recruiting class. Billy Napier's transfer portal evaluations, when he has landed guys, he's nailed them, in my mind. Impactful players from Ricky Pearsall to Osiris Torrance last year, and Graham Mertz, I think, is another promising one that, the narrative is kind of flipped, right? People were saying for so long that Florida had a lot of promising pieces, but they took Graham Mertz. Now it's looking like Graham Mertz is one of the most effective players on this team, and kind of the rest of the pieces are falling short, so to speak. So I do think that there's a lot to be optimistic about when it comes to Napier. Look at the hiring of Austin Armstrong. There's a lot of promise here that to let a couple of results, frustrating ones, some whatever you want to call it, conservative play calling, to let that be the indictment of him. Again, I don't make that leap. I understand where people are coming from a frustration perspective, but I think that we need to be a little bit more tempered and understanding of the situation here rather than trying to fire the head coach right now.
A couple of more for Graham Hall, 247sports.com. Swamp247 is where you see his terrific work covering the Florida Gators there in Gainesville. Graham, you're around Billy Napier. You cover this guy on a daily basis. I do think whether it's at the end of the year, it probably will be at the end of the year, you do need to take a hard look in the mirror about the offensive play calling, about hiring a full-blown offensive coordinator. I think Napier is learning on the fly. Quite frankly, I don't know if they have the personnel to run the offense he really wants to run yet. I think those pieces are coming. You see the star wide receivers they're getting. Wilson, it stinks that he got hurt because he looks like a stud. Andy Jean's going to be a good player. Certainly when DJ Lagway arrives, maybe the offense will open up a little bit. But one of the biggest complaints about Napier is he's being stubborn with what he's doing and calling plays and having too much control. What's your reaction to those comments?
Again, I understand where people are coming from, and I've said this in defense of coaches. When you get to the pinnacle of your profession and all of a sudden you may have to give something up, that's really difficult to do. You made your bread and butter on being an offensive guy, a quarterback developer. He had a successful offenses at Louisiana. I'm not arguing that, but sometimes you get to a position like this and you may have to take a step back and realize potentially that being an offensive play caller isn't your best attribute. We all aren't amazing at everything. You have to find what you're best at and hone in on that. And when it comes to building a program, a culture, acquiring talent, evaluating, putting the right coaches in place, and of course recruiting, Billy Napier is checking those boxes in my mind. Now, he said yesterday that he evaluates this constantly. I think that, it's fair to say he's evaluating the program more than fans, right? So he understands that maybe he is not the best potential option to be a play caller moving forward, and that after the season, that may be something he wants to address. But like I just said, to make huge changes in the middle of the season, I don't think that necessarily is the right move. I mean, they do have a former play caller in Russ Callaway, who's now coaching the tight ends, but a first-year coach at Florida, is that a role you want to even put on him in the middle of the season? I can see why you would not want to do that, right? Moving forward, I do think that the big test is going to be this offseason in a similar way that it was to Dan Mullen after 2020, right? Sticking with Todd Grantham and John Hevesy and some of those coaches heading into the 2021 season was kind of one of the signs, in retrospect especially, that this thing was not going to get on the track that people expected it to be on, that maybe what you just said, a little bit of stubbornness was going to prevent Florida from being as good as they possibly could be. If Billy Napier is, I hate to say stubborn, but if he maintains his ways, he's staunch after this season and keeps his infrastructure the same, from special teams to play calling to 2 offensive line coaches, not saying that all these things need to be changed, but if he keeps everything entirely the same, I do think you're going to have a lot of frustration still heading into the offseason, no matter if the Gators sign a top 5 class, no matter if all those guys that they hit on are able to get here on campus and they use the transfer portal well. There's still going to be an underlying sense of frustration where they're going to be in wait and see, prove it mode to see whether this can be a better offensive team moving forward, whether it's another year of Graham Mertz or you have a fantastic freshman quarterback in DJ Lagway, or maybe you add someone else. There are still going to be questions to answer if the infrastructure aspect is not addressed, at least from a large vocal minority of fans. That sounds like it doesn't make sense, but you look at how large the Florida fan base is, especially on social media. Those people may not be the majority, but they absolutely are a portion of the fan base who are making their voices heard right now. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Napier responds to the criticism and what has transpired this season by shaking things up in the offseason.
Graham, we're out of time. We got about 2 minutes to go. They got Vanderbilt on Saturday. You would hope they would win that, although, as we remember, they lost up in Nashville last year. To me, wins are nice. We know losses are coming. It's all about that 24 recruiting class, and I hold my breath every time if I'm a Gator fan after Utah, after Kentucky, go to social media. But I haven't seen any decommitments yet from any top-notch guys, and we're already into the month of October. Early signing period is in December, about 2 months away. Do you believe that they will be able to keep a majority of that top 5 class if things get bad here over the next month or so?
I do, and I'm going to go off a precedent. Go back to last year. Billy Napier, the class wasn't as high rated, but they kept that class together. I know that people think about Jaden Rashada, but again, he did sign with Florida. They kept all those guys together, even coming off of a 6-6 season where you did look like, especially at the end of the year, you're coming off of 3 straight losses. You go into a bowl game and you just barely score. I mean, the Gators kept all those guys together. Now, a different year with more results, if things really decline here, say Florida goes, 4-8 this season, or even 6-6, I do think that you risk the possibility of losing some of these top-rated guys. I mean, look at who Florida has locked in. Guys like Jamonte Waller, Amaris Williams, Darius Hayes, guys like that who are still looking around at other programs, whether it's Auburn, Miami, you name it. Those are certainly ones to watch. If Florida is able to maintain them through the 6-6 or whatever they finish this season, I think it absolutely indicates that there's a lot of belief still from the player aspect that this coaching staff is on the right track. And I do think that speaks volumes. It speaks more than that large vocal portion of the fan base calling for Napier's head. And I think that ultimately, if you keep all those recruits and get them here on campus in January, this thing is going to turn around sooner than later.
Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Quickly, Graham, Vanderbilt on Saturday. I mean, no issues, right? I mean, it's revenge time for last year, because if they lose to Vandy, I might be calling you next week, because it'll be really interesting in these parts.
Yeah, and I may have changed my tone if they lose to Vanderbilt this Saturday. I mean, no Ray Davis, no problem in my mind. This is a different Vanderbilt team. And like I just said at the beginning, I think Florida is a better team at home than they are on the road. And I think they proved that already this season. So interesting to see that they don't take this Vanderbilt team lightly. They should want revenge. I mean, that's a blemish on their recent 3 decades of having dominated Vanderbilt. They had won the previous, 31 matchups before this one. So I think that Florida should have no problems. The last thing you can do is overlook them, because you have a chance to go into the bye week with consecutive wins, played Georgia at 5-2. And I think a lot of people would take that. So they can't lose this one. You can't overlook this one. Can't let it be a trap game. It's homecoming. There should be no disappointment. This is not last year's Vanderbilt.
Graham, I know you're very busy, man. Thank you for the time, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Looking forward to it. Y'all take care there.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
Thank you to my friend Graham Hall, 247sports.com, Swamp247, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. My big takeaways of the evening here on Hacker After Dark. Well, there are a couple. Florida needs to take care of business against Vanderbilt. This is a Vanderbilt team that beat Florida last year in Nashville. It was an embarrassing loss for the Gators. The Gators are coming off an embarrassing performance last week in that loss to Kentucky. This does not need to be a game in the fourth quarter. If this Florida-Vanderbilt game is a game in the fourth quarter, that's not going to be good. Florida is clearly better than Vanderbilt. They need to go out and show that on Saturday down there in Gainesville. And when it comes to the Jaguars, look, it's a great opportunity against a very good Buffalo Bills football team, a Buffalo Bills team that is probably considered the best right now in the AFC. Jacksonville has an opportunity to get back in the national conversation if they're able to pull off this upset on Sunday in London. But make no mistake about it, man, it will not be easy. The Bills' offense is on fire right now, averaging over 40 points a game in their last three contests. Their defense is playing very well as well. So it's a very, very good Buffalo team that Jacksonville will see on Sunday. Well, that'll just about do it for what has been a very busy Thursday night edition here of Hacker After Dark. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Graham Hall, 247sports.com, Swamp247. He's certainly one of our guys down in Gainesville when it comes to the Florida Gators, and we appreciate Graham taking time out for us here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to my friend Vic Carucci. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You hear him on SiriusXM NFL Radio. He's based in the Buffalo area, and always enjoy getting the Bills' perspective from Vic Carucci, particularly when Buffalo and Jacksonville get together. And back in hour number one, my friend Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. As far as the games this weekend, I like Florida State big over Virginia Tech. I like Miami big over Georgia Tech. I think Georgia struggles a little bit. Kentucky's pretty good, but ultimately Georgia finds a way to get it done. And I do think Florida beats Vanderbilt. I don't know if it's as dominating as Gator fans will have liked, but I do think ultimately Florida, just talent will prevail, and they will find a way to knock off Vanderbilt. As far as the Jaguars, look, I hope I'm wrong, but it's hard to pick against Buffalo right now. With what they did to Miami last week, I do think playing in London gives the Jaguars a chance, certainly in this game, much more of a chance than they would have if they had to go to Orchard Park. But at the end of the day, Buffalo is just on a different level right now, and I will take the Buffalo Bills to knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars. Certainly hope I'm wrong, but I will go Buffalo to take out Jacksonville. Well, this is our final Hacker After Dark of the week. Tomorrow night, Hacker After Dark turns into the Friday Night Lights postgame. We will be on the air tomorrow night following Bishop Kenny and Pana Vedra on 92.5 FM and following Bowles and Lake City, Columbia on 1010 AM. And we will bring you victorious coaches all over Northeast Florida under the Friday Night Lights. Dylan Denmark, Andrew Gibson, and yours truly, and we're certainly looking forward to that. I'll also have the Gator Bites podcast for you tomorrow morning with Denny Thompson on the 1010XL Florida Gator Facebook page. That'll be 9 a.m. Friday morning, Gator fans, if you want to check us out on Facebook Live. And the fifth quarter, where we're busy this weekend, the fifth quarter, a special time. We'll get underway probably 2 o'clock, 2:15 or so on Sunday afternoon, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Bills go final. Join us for the fifth quarter live from 9 Ball Heaven Sports Grill and Billiards. They're on University Boulevard, as we will be recapping Buffalo and Jacksonville. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us and your week with us right here on Hacker After Dark. And we do certainly appreciate that. So until tomorrow night, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Thursday evening, Jacksonville, and we will talk to you under the Friday night lights. Until then,